Welcome to another Cardano update. Like always, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts and if you want access to our daily Discord updates. So let's start on the 4 hour. As you can see, we have not done much since the last video, but that's okay because this is supposed to be some kind of fourth wave move to the downside for the C wave, so it makes sense that it's a bit boring. So for the time being, I'm still expecting the price to go a bit lower, but you know, we are above the moving average right there on the 4 hour RSI, so if we get some type of bounce right now and we start the third wave of this one to set up, keep in mind, even if we form a 5-wave move to the upside right now, it's probably not gonna hold when we go down, and I think we're still gonna get between 55 cents and 52 cents to get another low in the C wave and to get to $100,000 on the Bitcoin chart. As you can see, I mean, we have not gotten to the trend line, and today is Sunday, so we're gonna get a weekly wick like this, meaning that the next week could be even more bearish and it could even put us at $100,000, which has been my target for quite some time. You should already know this. I'm not going to talk about this too much in this video. Instead, in this video, I want to look at the long term because people seem to forget that Cardano has been staying above the 0.618 support level for the past couple of months at this point. It's almost a year. We have been above it since February over there. We had 3 reactions to support, and that's exactly what we were doing back here as well. And after we actually reacted to support many times, that's when Cardano started going up. And keep in mind, it started going up in November, just like it did over there as well. And at the end of the day, this AB structure is still valid, meaning that the third wave of the third wave is still expected to happen as long as we hold above this support level. Even if we drop to like 38 cents, which I believe is not going to happen, but even if we do something like that, as long as we hold above this support level and as long as we do not break below that low over there, which is at 27 cents, this AB structure is still going to be valid, meaning that my next target would still be at $3.50 for the much bigger third wave of the third wave. I think that's where the much bigger third wave will top. I don't think we're going to have time to get a 5-wave move to the upside for the third wave, meaning it's going to be an ABC. After that, we could get a fourth and a fifth, but keep in mind, I'm probably going to be taking profits in this area because you never know. So for the time being, if you look at the Bitcoin dominance chart right now, it's still going up, which is not surprising. We were expecting Bitcoin dominance to go up in October because that's exactly what it did last year as well. If you look at when Bitcoin dominance actually started going down last year, it was on November 18th and it went down until, let's say, December 2nd. So right now, if Bitcoin dominance continues to go a bit higher, maybe to the 200-day moving average or even to test that high right there at 63%, it's not gonna matter because I think it's still gonna drop. Historically, Bitcoin dominance drops quite a lot in November, and again, historically, Cardano goes up quite a lot in November as well. Let's also look at the Cardano weekly chart for a second because I have not talked about this in a really long time, but if you look at this pattern over here that we had when we hit the bear market low, you could say that what we did over here looks very similar to what we are doing right now. First, as you can see, we dropped below the moving average on the weekly RSI. That's what gave us this move to the downside. This was a very scary wick from 37 cents to about 21 cents. If you look at how much we went down during that time, it was a pretty significant move. We went down about 45%. And during this move that we had over here, this crazy wick, we went down about 52%, at least according to the Kraken chart. Obviously, on other charts, it went a bit lower. For example, on Binance, I believe it got to about 27 cents, but I'm not gonna use that chart because during the drop, nobody was able to buy or sell, and I think that's very scummy, so I'm not gonna use that chart, and instead I'm gonna look at this one. So yeah, this was a 50% move to the downside, just like we had over there. As you can see over there, we also had a cross on the bull market support band pretty much when the move right here happened, and after we had a cross, we had a short-term move to the upside which tested the bull market support band, and then after we tested the bull market support band, we got rejected. During that time, we also got rejected by the moving average on the weekly RSI, and that's what formed another higher low over here. But keep in mind, it's a higher low, it's not a lower low. So if that's what we're doing right now, if we're just copying that pattern, which seems to be the case, I think for the time being, Cardano might get a drop because you could say maybe we already had this move over here to the bull market support band. Of course, we did not quite get to the bull market support band, but in my opinion, it's enough to, look like that. So if that's what we're doing, we should continue to go down for like maybe a couple of weeks, get to around 52 cents or 50 cents or so, and then we could bounce and start a much bigger third wave of the third wave, Keep in mind, at the end of the day, Bitcoin dominance is still at 60%, and I've been saying this for quite a long time, but until Bitcoin dominance starts dropping, Cardano is not gonna get to all-time highs. If you look at the previous cycle, for example, Bitcoin dominance only started dropping in this area when ADA was at about 10 cents, and let me actually show you this. So this is where Bitcoin dominance was dropping during the previous cycle, and only when Bitcoin dominance did this, that's when Cardano actually had this move from 10 cents all the way up to all-time highs. Before that, as you can see, Cardano was still down quite a lot from all-time highs. Over here, Bitcoin dominance, like I said, was at cycle highs. If you take the 2017 all-time high or the 2018 all-time high, Cardano was still down about 92% from all-time highs. And right now, if you take the 2021 all-time high, I believe we are not down that much, although obviously we are still down. We are down about 79%, which is a lot less than in the previous cycle. And also remember, in the 2017 cycle, back in November, Cardano was at about 2 cents, and it still went from 2 cents all the way up to like $1.17, and that's only because during that time, that's when Bitcoin dominance dropped, so that's why I still have faith in this cycle. I believe Bitcoin is gonna get to the trend line on the weekly RSI. I think it's gonna test it, we're gonna bounce off of it like we did 3 times in a row, and then after we bounce off of it, that's when we get to all-time highs. That's when Ethereum also gets to all-time highs, and after Ethereum gets to all-time highs, that's when the altcoin season will start, because that's when it actually happens historically. For example, here in 2021, the altcoin season only started in this area when Ethereum was already above the previous 2017 all-time highs. So this is what I am tracking. I don't think we're in a bear market, at least not yet. Bitcoin at the end of the day is still at $110,000, and I've been calling this move for quite some time now. Remember what I said, that usually after we get rate cuts, Bitcoin goes down for a couple of weeks and then it starts getting to all-time highs. So here, when we started having rate cuts, as you can see, we went down for a couple of weeks. We went from $64,000 all the way down to $52,000, and after that we stopped the rate cuts for a while, and that's when Bitcoin finally got to all-time highs. And obviously when we had rate cuts again, it obviously went higher. So I think for the time being, the cycle is not over. I think Bitcoin is gonna continue climbing higher and higher, but only after we get to the trend line right there. So my prediction for this cycle is that Bitcoin is probably gonna top, let's say in November or in December, and after that we're probably gonna get that huge altcoin season, because if Bitcoin gets a top in November, that's when Ethereum is gonna get to all-time highs as well, and that's gonna lead to a huge Bitcoin dominance drop, which is gonna lead to an altcoin season. So right now what we need to do to get the altcoin season is just form a new all-time high, and I think that's gonna be enough for the altcoins to finally get a huge move. So my target for Cardano is still the exact same. It's between $5 to $8. I've been saying this ever since I was making videos back here, and I'm gonna keep my prediction because I think it's a quite good prediction. Keep in mind, we got to the oversold territory on the daily RSI, which has only happened a couple of times in the last couple of years. The last time it happened was over here at 50 cents, and before that it was again at 50 cents. But last year, if you look at this, when we got to the oversold territory, that pretty much confirmed that the low was in. But in the short term, if you look at what happened, we got to the oversold territory, we got to the bull market support band, got rejected, and that's what gave us this move. But again, this was a higher low, just like we had over there, and after we had a higher low, we went sideways for a bit, just like we did over there, and then after we did that, we got above the bull market support band, and that's what gave us this move. I think it's gonna play out the exact same way right now. So let's say we get a higher low, let's say we get to 50 cents again, we get some kind of quadruple bottom. That's gonna be enough in my opinion to get a bounce and hopefully get above the bull market support band and finally get a move like we had over here. So that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts, and if you want access to our daily Discord updates. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.